Three things about this week. One, we are being asked to go back to something that we put down late May. We are returning back to something that we haven't really touched since May. Two, it's really disruptive. Three, it's asking us to do some shadow work. You're welcome. Hello and welcome. This is the Astrology of the Week Ahead podcast. I'm your host, Chani Nicholas, your astro bestie. In this episode, we are talking about the week of September 1st, back to school. I know it's still holiday season, but you know what I mean? Like school's in session. It started early. There's things going on. We are in an eclipse week. We are in eclipse season. Y'all, this is a very important September. No matter who you are, what you do for a living, what you do for volunteer work, what you do for your activism, September is a hot spot in the year because it contains eclipses. And these eclipses are very formative. They're very hefty. They feel like they have a lot of consequences. Consequences are not a bad thing if we're doing what is in integrity for us, if we're doing our homework, if we're doing the things that we know we need to do, if we are being sure that we're accountable to all of our responsibilities, then the consequences for that, maybe that's the wrong word, but the outcomes for that are usually pretty good. And if we are misaligned, if we are not doing our work, if we're putting off taking care of our own business, this eclipse season is going to feel awful. I just want to reiterate that. If we are not doing the things that we have said we're going to do, that we said we're responsible for doing, that we just are responsible for doing, if we are not taking care of our side of the equation and we're in everybody else's business and we're worried about what everybody else is or isn't doing, this September is not going to feel good. This is a month for us to be like, I love doing my work. I love doing my homework. I love making sure that I got everything set up. I love making sure that I am on time, on purpose, on brand, on message. I love being disciplined. And then the chaos of the season, because there's so much chaos that's connected to eclipse seasons, the chaos of the season will be like, that's okay. I got it done. I got what I needed to do done. And so the chaos that surrounds the moment, the beginnings, the endings, the abrupt changes, the unstable energy sources that eclipse seasons are, can be like, yeah, we're in eclipse season. I didn't leave everything to the last minute. Get your work done early. I say that anytime there's a Saturnian vibe. I said that in the beginning of August and I meant it. How'd that go? And I'm saying it now in the beginning of September and throughout September because Saturn is involved with these eclipses. September 1st, Saturn retrogrades back into Pisces. Huge thing. We're returning back to something that we haven't touched or done or thought about or been able to get to since May. May is when Saturn moved from Pisces into Aries, and now it's retrograding back from Aries back into Pisces. So we're returning back to something in our life that connects with the part of our chart that contains Pisces. Saturn is about to finish up its transit through Pisces. It is going to spend the rest of this year and a little bit of 2026 in Pisces, and then it will be done. So we are all collectively finishing something up, but we're also collectively going back to something that we knew before. We departed known reality in 2025, and we entered into a whole new sphere of situations. I'm not saying that everything that's new is going to go back to what we knew of before, but I am saying that there's a sense of like, okay, this is familiar. This is old. This is something I'm wrapping up. This part of my life, this situation requires me to do some closure. And that's part of what these eclipses are about. They're not the end of these eclipses, but because Saturn is so heavily featured in these eclipses, and Saturn is finishing up its time in Pisces, and this first eclipse that we have this week on September 7th is a total lunar eclipse in Pisces with Saturn co-present. As Saturn finishes up its time in Pisces, we know that this is like highlighting something that we're spending the next couple of months wrapping up, finishing up. So Saturn is going back into the part of your chart that contains Pisces. In that part of your chart, you are going to be like, oh, wait, I forgot to do this thing. Or, oh, wait, I forgot to close the loop on this. Or, oh, wait, I got to go back and finish that piece of work. I thought I could get away with not doing it, but I have to do it. It's time. Tick-tock. That's what Saturn does. It's like, tick-tock, you have a couple of months to finish this thing up, and then it's done for like 3 decades. Saturn will be back in Pisces. Once it leaves in 2026, it won't be back in Pisces for like 28 years. So we're really wrapping something up in the part of our chart that contains Pisces. So I want you to listen to your reading this week and think about what the part of your chart that contains Pisces is about. I go into it at great length because Saturn is back and then the eclipse happens there. This is the second of 3 eclipses in Pisces in a row. The first eclipse was September of 2024. The next one is September 2025, this September 7th. And the third and final one won't be until August of 2026. Usually eclipses in a sign are every 6 months, or at least a couple of them are every 6 months. But these ones in Pisces are kind of, if you will, more spaced out. I mean, Pisces is a little spaced out, but you know what I mean? Like they're more in a time series situation. They're more spaced out. So they're once a year for 3 years. So this is the second chapter in a 3-part series. This is the second book of the trilogy. This is the middle. This is the Wednesday of the Pisces eclipse. This is the halfway point. This is like, okay, we've been introduced to the story, to the villains, to the main characters, to the heroines, to the whole thing. This is where the story gets really deep. And again, because Saturn is moving back to this part of our chart, it's like, oh yeah, I know this. This is something I know. This is something I know, and I knew I'd have to circle back to it, and I thought I'd have more time, but I don't. Here it is. Let's go. Let's do this work. So Saturn's like 10-ish degrees away from this eclipse, but that's very significant. Again, because of the relationship that Saturn has to time, because it's time to go finish up this situation with Saturn in Pisces, because it's time for a total lunar eclipse in Pisces. We know that this is going to be big. It's going to be emotive. It's going to be emotionally dramatic. This eclipse is going to be about the ideal, the dream, but the work it takes to make the dream manifest. And the fact that we're at the end of building something in our life. We've been building something for the past couple of years with Saturn and Pisces, and these are the finishing touches moments. And an eclipse really activates our decision-making. Like I go this way or I go this way. Pisces will want to do everything. It always wants to swim in both directions. And maybe there's like a 2 kind of headed beast that you're dealing with right now. But there are choices to make in eclipse season. The door opens, the door closes. It doesn't stay open. It's not like a cat door where they can just be like, I don't know if I want to go this way or that. This is like, it's got to be more definitive. Eclipses turn the light on and off. Eclipses change the light. Eclipses obscure the light. So it is a startling moment of awakening. Eclipses and eclipse weeks and eclipse portals, if you will, not to get too new agey woo-woo on you, but we can think of these couple of weeks where we're going to have eclipses. There's going to be one on the 7th of September and then one 2 weeks later on the 21st of September. So these 2 weeks especially, we can think of all of Virgo season as eclipse season, but these 2 weeks of Virgo season where the eclipses are actually happening are super potent, and they will be this little pocket of time where, again, things speed up, the events of our life speed up, our decision-making feels more urgent, and there are also signatures, situations, opportunities that come into our life that feel very fated often when eclipses are involved. Because again, it's like this cataclysmic astronomical event that is rare enough. It only happens twice a year. And it signifies, again, this unstable energy, but unstable energy is, like a bit like a live wire, like it gets our attention and it draws our awareness to something. Eclipse seasons also bring up the shadow material because they're very shadowy times. The light gets obscured, so we think it's light, but then it goes dark and then it changes, like with a lunar eclipse, the moon changes colors. We have a blood red moon on a total lunar eclipse quite often. So there's this feeling of like, whoa, what is happening? And it can evoke these like really strong feelings that are latent most of the time. So we can also think of this time as coming to understand, coming to reflect on. It's a Pisces eclipse, so it's very reflective because it's a water sign. So we're thinking about how water works and that it's reflective and it morphs and bends and changes. But we want to be reflecting on the ways in which their own shadow material from our psyche is coming up. Like, what are the unconscious aspects of myself, unconscious behaviors, unconscious attitudes, unconscious biases? How are they revealing themselves right now? And what does that pull up for me? What kind of feelings, what kind of shame, what kind of just self-disgust or rejection or like, oh God, I can't believe I did that. Those situations, as hard as they are to go through, are really healthy when we're going through them with conscious awareness and then going through them with some help. Get a little help from your friends and your therapists and your mentors and your teachers and the wise people in your life. Please. This is an eclipse that has Saturn in the mix. We want to go to our elders. We want to be in touch with people that are from older generations than us. Even when parts of them annoy us, parts of us annoy them, parts of young people annoy us, parts of us annoy them. We need to be in multi-generational spaces in order to get the full breadth of our multi-generational wisdom. And so Saturn will always ask us to pull in the people that we consider to be elders. And please be careful who you call an elder. Sometimes it's like, really? I'm your elder? Anywho, I'm happy to be your elder, if that works for you. Okay, so Monday the 1st, Saturn moves back into Pisces. We're going back to something old. We're going back to something we know. We're going back to something familiar. We're going back to a known reality. We're going back to whatever we put down in May. On Wednesday, Mercury makes a square to Uranus. There's some shocking news. There's some breaking news. Sorry to say, there's something that breaks through the static of everything going on that wants us to wake up and understand this message. There is a message of like, hold on, we need to do this in another way, in a different way. Or it teaches us how to have the conversation in a more innovative way. On Thursday, Mars in Libra makes a square to Jupiter in Cancer. And that's a real like rah, rah, go and get 'em kind of vibe. It's very cheerleadery. It's very like, how do we win for everybody? How do we make sure that everything is taken care of? Everyone is taken care of. Everything is equal. Let's go team. How do we make this a win for all kind of vibe? On Friday, Uranus stations retrograde. Uranus, newly in Gemini. It's only been there since July. Pulls focus. So the most disruptive planet out there is pulling focus a couple of days, 2 days before a total lunar eclipse. So by the time we get to Friday, things start to feel a little rocky, a little disruptive, a little wild out here, a little dust, like that something has disturbed the airwaves and there's a lot of like dust being stirred up. There's a lot of sentiments being thrown around. There's a lot of tweets. There's a lot of memes. There's a lot of discourse out there. On Saturday, the moon moves into Pisces and then we're fully in this next eclipse. The eclipse happens on Sunday, but by Saturday, the moon is in the sign where the eclipse is going to occur. And so we really want to pay attention to what happens this weekend. What are the invitations we get? What are the signals we get? What's the shadowy material that we're starting to pick up about ourselves, about each other, about what's going on? Like, what is being unsaid that's being revealed? What are your hunches? What are your inklings? This is a lunar eclipse. This is about your nocturnal wisdom. This is about the wisdom that you can only really access when you are comfortable in the dark. This is about your night vision, metaphorically speaking. This is about your ability to tune into the body, its mysteries. This is about you being able to be attuned to what is going on that is unseen. You know, when someone tells you like a big piece of news, and then as you're reflecting on it, you're like, I felt this coming for a while, or I just thought this thing. It's your hunches, it's your instincts, it's your ability to intuit, and it's your ability to also be like, yeah, I did feel that coming. I knew that. That's the kind of situation that this kind of eclipse puts us in, and it's heightened. So watch your dreams, watch your inklings. Don't think that everything's a sign. I mean, maybe a lot of things are signs, but I think we also take it too far. Like, don't be so extreme with the situation, with the signs. Like, not everything is a sign. Or sometimes things are a sign, like you need to just chill out and live your life and stop needing everything to be a pattern. I'm saying that, the astrologer who's only watching patterns. Sometimes we just need to like go out and live our life. And definitely major things happening in Pisces, like Saturn returning there and this eclipse happening there, is like, yes, be responsible, be reliable, do your work, do your due diligence, have it all ready, and be disciplined, and then let it go. Trust in the process, trust in the situation. You don't have to have all the details. We can't have all the details. It's all going to be okay. The one thing I will say is this eclipse is ruled by Jupiter. Jupiter is the traditional ruler of Pisces, and Jupiter is in an excellent situation right now, especially now that Saturn has moved into Pisces. Now Jupiter can really start to like spread its goodness because it's no longer square Saturn. And Saturn is now ruled by Jupiter, which is a much nicer situation, especially because Jupiter is now in Cancer. And so there's a lot of benevolence that can come through these changes and these twists and these turns. There's a lot of support that can come through this time. Even if the emotions are big, even if the energy jolt feels really unsteadying, there is a lot here that is wanting to come in and like lift us up and give us a big hug and fill our cups and remind us that we are overflowing in abundance still, even though it's eclipse season. And Jupiter can see this eclipse. It's even by degree in a nice trine to this eclipse. So there is help here. And I want us to remember that when things get a little rocky, be like, this is for the good of all. In my personal life, maybe in our collective situation, if I can see that, there's something here that wants to help us get to that feeling of like, I care. This is my dream. This is the ultimate vision for things. I have compassion. I want to take care of people. Like, I want everyone to feel taken care of. I want everyone to feel like they have what they need, just basics, which seems to be a radical position to take inside of incoming fascism. However, this eclipse, this moment is very imbued with those signatures. So I want us to remember that as we go through this. And I really, really, really want you to listen to your reading this week and understand in depth what the part of your chart that contains Pisces means. What does that house mean? What are the topics that it contains? Because this is such an important, like, ooh, okay, we're going to start to finish something up here. We're also like halfway through another part of our story with this situation. This part of your life is everything right now for this week. Focus there and you're good. You will make the most of this eclipse, I promise you. Someone recently wrote in and asked if it was normal to experience transits a couple of days before they happen. And I'm going to say yes, with a little asterisk. A lot of times we feel things coming, like you can hear a really loud car coming down the street way before you see it, way before it gets to you. So the moment of the transit is the moment that the car passes you on the street. Maybe it stops there for a second. Maybe you have a conversation with the person that's driving the car, but you've heard it for a while. So depending on what the sound is, depending on what the information is that you're picking up on, you can feel it. It's rumbling. If it's something really lovely, like, an ice cream truck sound, you're like, oh my God, then that evokes a lot of feeling of like loveliness and joy and pleasure and like delights from your childhood or what have you. Then also you might feel that it might not be as shocking or as like awakening, but you're like, oh, I all of a sudden I have a little dopamine hit. There's something good going on in my system. And then the ice cream truck rolls through and you're like, oh my God, I love this. This is so great. Yes, I'll get one. The moment that the two planets come together or a planet transits a planet in your chart or something happens in the sky and it lands in your chart is the exact moment of it. But we're going to feel it, sense it, hear it, know about it. Maybe it's announced before the thing actually happens. And then there's the situation where it leaves. You can still hear the loud car go off into the distance. It's a little bit more of a relief though, for those of us that don't like loud cars, because it's leaving. Right? And so the anticipation sometimes of the loud thing coming can like put us a little bit on edge. And then we have the interaction and then we're like, okay. And then it starts to leave and you're like, okay, now it's going. Sometimes when the good thing comes, we're like so anticipatory of it and we feel so good when it gets there. And then we might feel like a little anxiety when it's leaving because we're like, what's the next good thing that's going to happen though? It's all about the anticipation of it, but I do feel like we're always sensing things that are coming because we are. That's how senses work with our relationship to our life. It's the same as our relationship to smell, to taste, to sight, to whatever our senses are that we rely on. Our sense with our life is the same. There's something in the air. We can feel it coming. Cue Phil Collins. I can feel it coming in the air tonight. You can sense things that come. So yes, you'll feel things before they come. And that's just really good, like keen little spidey senses to tune into, to be like, yeah, there's something occurring. I don't know what it is yet. I don't have to know what it is yet, but I can feel it. It's situating itself. And then maybe by the time it gets there, you're like, oh yeah, I've been expecting this. So this is no surprise. And then you let it go. The good, the bad, the difficult, the hard, the eclipses, the transits, all of it. You like let it roll in. You feel it on the way in, you feel it as it's there, and you let it go. We don't want to hang on to anything. Not anticipation, not anxiety, not even the good feelings. We don't want to try to grasp all of it. We want to just like be aware of it and watch it all roll in, occur, and also roll out. All right, y'all. I hope that was helpful. Listen, we're in eclipse season. This is it. It's exciting. Oftentimes, a lot occurs, a lot takes place. Take note of what feels like, oof, this is like, is this my fate? And not to be dramatic about it, not to be too hyperbolic about it. And if something doesn't happen that feels dramatic with you, great. It's also just a good time to pay attention to the body, take care of ourselves. This week's eclipse is a North Node eclipse. So it is generally generative. It's generally stimulating and awakening to our appetite and our senses and our desires for the thing that's dreamy. And again, I hope our desire to evoke a compassionate response from ourselves and everybody else, especially with that trine from Jupiter in the caring sign of Cancer. I'll see you back here next week. We're going to talk about a very exciting Mercury Cazimi week. There's such good information coming next week. There's such good intel coming next week. I love it happening in between eclipses. It really feels like something gets activated this week, and then we get to talk about it all next week. And we get to really be in the mix of exciting news, clarifying conversations, and moments that are just like, that is what this whole thing has been about. I'll see you back here then. If you liked this podcast, if you got something from it, please share it with a friend. We benefit so much from folks and their word of mouth. We love you. Thank you. Take good care. Bye for now.